Well, the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued a directive requiring financial institutions to collect customers' social media handles, email addresses, phone numbers, residential addresses, and other relevant information. Now, the Apex Bank said the initiative will strengthen customers' due diligence measures and combat money laundering and terrorism financing. But the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, a non-governmental organization, has described the directive as unlawful and a violation of Nigerians' rights to freedom of expression and privacy. Now, in its recently released Customer Due Diligence Regulations for 2023, Nigeria's banking regulator said money deposit banks must obtain comprehensive information about their customers, including their social media handles. Now, the Apex Bank said the new directive contained measures that were designed to improve the ability of financial institutions to identify and monitor potential risks linked to customer activities. Potential risk. Well, CBN said the requirement applies to both individuals and legal entities. Now, let's quote a portion of the directive. By including social media handles as part of the customer's identification process, banks seek to gain further insight into customers' online presence and activities, helping to assess potential risks and monitor for suspicious behavior. For individuals, the CDD process now encompasses gathering information such as legal name, addresses, permanent and residential, contact details, telephone, email, and social media handles, date and place of birth, bank verification number, BVN, tax identification number, TIN, nationality, occupation, public position held, name of employer, official personal identification number, and a unique identifier contained in a valid government-issued document bearing the customer's name, photograph, and signature. Now, CBN, end quote, end quote. Now, CBN said the decision to include customer social media handles recognizes the roles online platforms play in communication and transactional activity. Well, I have joining me virtually Barrister Eze Eluche. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Yeah, good morning. I'm audible now.
Great. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Now, we would have loved to have a representative from the CBN here to tell us why this measure, but unfortunately, when we reached out, they were not going to be available for this conversation. But notwithstanding, let's stay with you now. According to the law, is the CBN acting right?
Well, you see, Nigerians should begin to acquaint themselves with their constitution, with the groundnut, with the fundamental law that holds the Nigerian state together, the document that provides the basis of our relationship with our government at whatever level. And clearly, the Constitution of the Federal Republic, 1999, as amended in Section 37, provides very, very clear, in very clear terms. I'll even take the opportunity to read it out to your viewers. It says, the privacy of citizens, their homes, correspondence, telephone conversations, and telegraphic communication is hereby guaranteed and protected. Guaranteed and protected. The wordings of Section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution, which Mr. President has sworn to uphold, which the CBN was of, which all of us are duty-bound to uphold. So there are things that, when it comes out from government, Nigerians should feel justified in being very, very resolutely annoyed and angry with the system. Under what temerity, what guts, what is it that even founded such myopic reasoning of the CBN to begin to interfere with email correspondences? Because email or the social media handles of citizens are correspondences, whether telegraphic or communication or telephone or whatever. What gives the CBN the temerity? Because these are things that only happens in dictatorial situations, be in North Korea or perhaps in China or in some other cultures or countries where they don't have a democracy. What audacity gave them the guts to come up with such nonsense? And look, let us not mince words. Be emphatic so that these guys know that they're not dealing with fools. We have this constitution everywhere. They just will go ahead, get a copy of the constitution and read it. Not just Section 37 of the constitution, also Section 39 of the constitution provides for freedom of expression. We are free to express how we will, how we wish. What has the CBN got to do with it? They messed up the economy and they have the constitution to try to interfere with the privacy of communications. Come on, they should give us a break. But you see, the basis of this is when you have a government that comes into office believing it is their entitlement, that it is their turn. Mr. President said it is my turn, and he didn't give a damn what people feel. They will begin to ride rough over us. And this is just the beginning. This is less than 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the life of this government. And it is having the audacity, the criminal audacity and the constitutional audacity to interfere with our private communications. We should realize that we have to guide our loins, because this is just the beginning. I wouldn't be surprised if it tells you that you must tell them the name of your wife, how many times you sleep with your wife, or how many times you speak with your wife.
All right, Barrister.
It is not a laughing matter, my brother. This is not a laughing matter. If somebody can tell you he wants to know what you post on social media, if I post my family life on social media, the number of girlfriends or whatever I have,
Barrister,
the number of concubines I have,
Barrister,
yes, it will be annoying. Yes.
One would think that most of this information is already available because we have the BVN. BVN contains your residential address. BVN has a picture of you, your thumbprint, which is unique to every individual. You know, there is the BVN. And banks also request for your driver's license or your international passport to do transactions with you. Now, these also contain almost the same information. But this particular policy now seems to be driving at invading people's thoughts. You know, that's what it seems to be driving at. Invading people's social media space, not just to find out who they are or who they do business with, but to look at their thoughts, you know, the pattern of their thoughts. Invade the privacy of the people. How can Nigerians fight this, really?
Well, you see, the government will tell you, go to court. That is what they will say, go to court. Knowing that they themselves render the court systems near useless. When they do what is unconstitutional, they do what is illegal, they will tell you, go to court. And you see, in any normal situation, even because governments are apprehensive of being taken to court, but because they have also captured the judiciary, they have captured virtually everything, they will tell you, go to court, knowing the court is almost useless. Now, you are using the word, it is like they are trying to invade. Man, let us be factual to ourselves. There is no trying to invade here. It's a direct invasion of privacy. When you wake up, when you want to post on Facebook, Facebook asks you what is on your mind today. So you are virtually revealing your mind on a daily basis. When you make political posts on Twitter or on Instagram, you are revealing your inner being. What business has a government got to do with our inner being? The whole idea is that they want to tell you that we can control you and we will get you wherever you go. So the earlier Nigerians realize what we are up against, the better we discover and we know that it's not a matter of pride, it's a matter of fascism. Nigerians rising up and saying, enough of this rubbish. Because if you don't begin to acknowledge what it is now, they will do something else. And it will continue to progress. My dear, this is less than 1 month into the life of this government. And they have this audacity to ask for social media handles. You cannot begin to imagine what they will have the guts to demand in the next 1 or 2 months. They will tell you every morning you must go and report at so-and-so police station before you can go and collect money from the bank. Or you can go and, that is how dictatorship creeps in. They're just giving us a try. Before you know it, this is a CBN that has messed up the economy. They brought in Naira design policy that's wrecked many people's lives, corrected it. They've not told us what has happened to the new Naira supposed to be in circulation. And the new guy on the block, the new CBN governor, is willing to go this route. Come on.
All right.
Well, some of us have been talking from the very onset. If Nigerians don't recycle thought now, it is their cup of tea.
All right, Barrister.
What I see at the end, yes.
Barrister, a school of thoughts have the opinion that, this administration, Nigerians were against this administration during the NSAS time, which was in 2020. And the president was accused, now the president now was accused of certain involvement in certain activities during that protest, NSAS. Talks about him owning properties, talks about him having a stake at the Lekki toll gate. All these things came up. And we cannot but hide, we cannot hide from the fact that NSAS itself was a movement that was promulgated on social media, on Twitter, with posts encouraging people, exercising, people putting out their experiences by, from the police, and also other people saying, okay, let us come out and protest these activities. Do you think that this seeming invasion, I use that word loosely, this seeming invasion of people's privacy is aimed at knowing when such activities or such things would want to come up? Such things like protest and complaints by the people against the government?
Well, I do not agree with your use of the word seeming invasion, although you are entitled to use your own words. This planned invasion, this invasion of the privacy of people, is geared towards controlling the minds, putting the fear of government in people. And if indeed this government says they are working for us, why should they want to capture or cage Nigerians? It's not just that. Social media is globally, it's renowned as the means of expression, the popular means of expression. The government has no business being involved. Yes, if crimes are being committed, already the police, the DSS, they already have existing mechanisms of monitoring criminal activities on social media. That is why when you are even threatening somebody on social media, or when you are trying to create some havoc, they know how to get it, because they have softwares, they have facilities available for government to actually engage with criminals online and pick them up before they commit crimes. So this central bank addition of the social media handles as requirements to check, to verify the authenticity of customers is a bloody lie. It's a bloody lie, and the thing is not even what it's all about. What is the future? What does it portend? That is what Nigerians should be worried about. Already they've done it. They will tell you, next thing you hear is the president or his aide will say, go to court. This is a president, very office, election, is still under dispute. The courts are still hearing the matters. If he cripples social media, who tells you that this is not a prelude to crippling the judiciary? Because if he cripples the social media, there will be no means for people to even begin to voice their angst with the system. One of the reasons why I even think that they're trying to muzzle social media is this. Yes, the court said, the tribunal said you should not broadcast it live. But with social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, and all that whatnot, people are able to view day in, day out, the questions being asked in court, the responses being asked in court. For instance, it was through social media that we realized that the lead counsel for Mr. President, who is the senior president of Nigeria, voiced that when your passport expires, your citizenship expires. That is, you won't see that report in any mainstream media. NTA will not carry it. The newspapers will not carry it. But social media was able to report it. So the government is simply trying to muzzle opinion, to cage the minds of people, and we must not allow such nonsense, particularly from a government that scored less than 35% of the votes of the people. If he scored even 50%, you say, okay, yes, this is acting based on a mandate that was given by the generality of majority of the people. But that is not the case in this instance. You have two major political parties candidates questioning his citizenship, the presidency's election and everything, and he has the guts to try to muzzle us up. Well, I hope Nigerians will see this for what it is, as a set of dictatorship, and begin to rally against it. Because the next we'll hear is go to court. And they know the court is virtually useless. Unfortunately, as I have to say, make that comment, because when politicians begin to tell you go to court, and you know for the court will drag for 5-6 years, or that the registrar may not even give you a date for hearing. There are some matters which have been brought to court and have not even been allotted a date for hearing. And that is what this government will tell you, go to court. Go to court is an insult on the judiciary and an insult on Nigerian sensibilities. We should be very careful, because this is how it begins. This is how North Korea began. This is how all that dictatorship began. Nigerians should understand that we have to react. We have to rally against this onset of criminal dictatorship, unconstitutional governance, and hold our constitution supreme. Again, Nigerians should revert back to their constitution. Section 37 of the constitution is very clear and responds to this nonsense being propagated by the CBN. We urge the banks to say no to this. We urge Nigerians to say no. We urge all Nigerians, don't give them any social media handle. Let us know if the banks will close all our accounts. I, for one, wouldn't do it. I mean, Nigerians should not give the banks their social media account. Let us now see what will happen.
Well, I'm going to chime in on something that you said. You said the banks should say no. Can the banks actually say no, seeing that the CBN is their big brother, so to speak?
No, even as a soldier, when your commanding officer gives you an order that you know is inherently and patently unconstitutional and illegal, as a soldier, you are duty bound to say no to your commander-in-chief. If, for instance, the commander-in-chief tells the soldier to go and shoot up a maternity house or home where we are giving birth, the soldier can tell the commander-in-chief not going to do that. Likewise, the legal units of our banks should also tell their banks, CBN, this is against the Constitution of the Federal Republic. We're not going to obey it. Then even if the bank wants to go unconstitutional and obey it, Nigerians should refuse to give the social media handles. What you do is withdraw your money, keep it in your house, then say you won't give it to the banks. Let's see what happens. Because if we allow, as minute as this appears, if it scales true, I wouldn't be surprised if this same regime orders the immediate disbandment of the presidential election tribunals, because they'll say they have the right, and then they'll tell you to go to court. Simple. So if you make this government think that they can do whatever they want to do, they can trample on the constitution, they can trample on our rights, next thing they may likely do, mark my words, they will just decree that the 5 judges who are hearing these petitions should be drafted or shifted to 5 different sections of the as judges. It is in their profit to do that.
Is it really?
It is, my dear. It is. How does it work? If the chief justice of the federation directs that these 5 justices should go to the 5 zones of the Court of Appeal, maybe one will go to Kaduna, another one will go to Owerri, another one to Calabar, Lagos, and what?
Can that be done while the petition is on?
Well, they will tell you go to court, because they are doing so many things that should not be done, like this nonsensical order from the Central Bank of Nigeria. I keep on using that word because that's the precise word to address this order from the Central Bank. It is nonsensical and unconstitutional. So the next thing they will say is go to court. So if Mr. President does that, or for instance, if they say the building where this tribunal is, the petition is being held, will be demolished, that there is a road that has to pass through it for environmental purposes, and then provide another room or office for the tribunal to take place, is that not the end of that tribunal? So we have to tell this government that yes, we are tolerating you because nature abhors a vacuum. There must be a government in power, but there is a limit. Mr. Tinubu swore an oath to abide by the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution on May 29th. Did he not see Section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution before the central bank rolled out this draconian provision? Nigerians should be justifiably annoyed with this process because, my dear, this is just the beginning.
Now, this is a case. Is this a case? Should we see this as a case of the government using the CBN for political purposes?
Of what economic, financial, or banking purpose is the social media handle of most Nigerians? Even the reason the CBN gave in the order they rolled out does not make any meaning, has no meaning. Because the CBN is not even there to be in charge of security or national security or defense. That is the duty of the DSS, the EFCC, and those institutions already have the wherewithal, the capabilities to monitor social media handles. They do monitor, and we know they monitor even communication.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what business has the Central Bank of Nigeria got to do with monitoring our social media handles, if not for political purposes?
Now,
as the first step being taken by this governor.
That brings me to.
Okay, go ahead.
That brings me to another question. You know, if truly this is for a political purpose, what is the motive? What do you think the motive is?
Well, the motive was mind control of the population. Yes, and then preparing for whatever eventualities. Because like you noted, and the example I gave earlier, some of the gaps, some of the releases from the Presidential Election Tribunal has not and will not be reported by the mainstream media. Even your outfit is afraid of saying some of these things. When guests like us mention them, you get worried and say, so it is through the social media handles that those facts come out to the public purview. So what this government is trying to establish or to do is to also seize and control that. Because by the time they tell you, okay, your bank will freeze your account or close your account because you posted something about Mr. President or his ministers or his ill health, or the fact that Mr. President went to France and he didn't address any event there, and you make mockery of it because you should, or the fact that Mr. President did not even attend or make any presentations there, the bank can say, why did you say that? And then we're going to freeze your account. So it is political and social and mind control.
All right.
And we must resist that, because that will be very unfortunate, actually. It will be very unfortunate.
All right. So how can you actually did say Nigerians should acquaint themselves with the Constitution to know their rights.
That's
right. That's the first step. Nigerians really should start reading on the Constitution a whole lot more, so we get to know our rights. But how can public interest litigation shoot down this directive?
Public interest litigation. That's an interesting question you asked. Because of recent, we've been hearing judges of the Federal High Court and some other courts have been passing judgments or rulings which are anachronistic to democracy and anachronistic to public interest litigation. Recently, some people in Abuja sued that they wanted to have an interest, they wanted to get involved with the Election Tribunal, and the court not only told them they have no locus, also fined them excessively. So, as an individual, if you want to even challenge this process, most likely the court will say you don't have locus. You are only one person. So the issue of public interest litigation, even what SERAP is doing, like you mentioned at the beginning of this program, what locus has SERAP got? So under the new jurisprudence, with the crop of some very funny and odd and illegitimate judgments of courts are trying to force on the Nigerian system, the issue of even public interest litigation has been squashed. Because the essence of public interest litigation is that somebody who is concerned, or a body who is concerned, comes out and litigates on behalf of the generality of the people when he realizes that something amiss or wrong is going on. That is what public litigation is all about. So if the country, now we're hearing no locus standi for virtually everything, can all Nigerians come together and litigate? Certainly not. So it's a danger, not just to the individuals, but also to to our jurisprudence and justice sector. Because ultimately, where this is leading to, you wouldn't like it. Because I even envisage, if the next thing you hear is that, okay, private media outfits that allow people like us to come on air should be closed, or they should register, and all that stuff. So before you know it, you only have 1 or 2 channels that will be saying only what this president, whose regime or whose tenure is still being litigated against, wants. One thing I just can do, actually, because the court is generally no longer becoming an option, we got to rally out. We still have we have an inherent constitutional right to protest, to come out on the streets and rally against such draconian rules as what the CBN is doing. But at the way Nigeria is polarized now, can we actually come to that? Can we have that unity of purpose? I hope we do sooner than later. Because even if a military regime try this kind of stuff, Nigerians will be up in arms.
All right. Now, in as much as we are not calling for a protest here, but we know that protest without a body heading it may not make headway. If there's a protest without any specific individual or organization leading it, then it will seem like going in, people going in different ways. But then,
no, let me correct you, please. Sorry for that.
Go ahead, please.
You cannot say you're not calling for protest. Maybe you're not calling, but I am calling for protest. What we will be against is calling for riots
on this platform.
People must be against calling for riots.
Okay.
But protesting is an integral part of our humanity. When you don't like something, you protest, but you must eschew violence and eschew riot. So that is the language that you cannot say you don't want protest. So we should all go to sleep with this? Come on, no.
Of course not.
We should protest, but we should protest within the ambits of the law without causing violence or riots. That's how we should do.
But then, if you talk about this, then you know that in times past we've had cases where the police will say, look, if you go ahead with the protest, there are tendencies that unscrupulous elements will hijack it and cause mayhem, and that most times you cannot control. That's exactly why we say we're not calling for a protest.
Yes, we have certainly seen also where the government itself busts in touts and thugs into peaceful protest to create mayhem. So when the police even use this language, they can be told to shut up. Because the reality is, oftentimes, and it's not the police as an institution that we respect the police, but when elements in the police force who are acting at the behest of government make unconstitutional comments that tend to model up constitutional right of citizens to protest, they could be asked to keep quiet. This is people and their government. Nigerians should feel free to protest, but in protesting we should eschew violence and not riots. And we should, even in protest, we should be very wary of strange elements coming in to try to create mayhem among such peaceful protesters.
Now, can you say categorically, Barrister Eze, that Nigeria is heading into a fascist government or fascist state?
My dear brother and Nigerians, if we don't begin to accept our citizenship, if we don't begin now to accept the Nigerian constitution, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Even if Mr. President did not wake up thinking of becoming a fascist or becoming a dictator, by the time he tries A and gets away with it, tries B and gets away with it, tries C and there's no protest, tries D, nothing is happening, guess what will happen? Like I said, we'll all have to be, sooner than later, we'll start marking register the day we sleep or the day we do whatever. We have a place to go and mark register with the government. But God forbid. So the best way, the antidote to that kind of into anarchy and fascism is for the people from the very onset, from the beginning of fascist mindset, people should come out and protest or show their grievance with the system. And there are several ways of peacefully protesting illegality and unconstitutional measures. Like the CBN, for instance, Nigerians will try and get the phone number of the CBN governor and bombard him with text messages. Tell your banks, we're not going to do this. We're not going to go to, we're not slaves, for goodness sake. We are citizens of the Federal Republic. We're not bought. The person who is giving these orders says he was voted in. Let him wait a bit until when the tribunals are through, then he will not be able to unleash this fascism. Nigerians allow him. But for now, please no. First thing, if he gets away with this, especially before the 6-month period of these tribunals are over, you will see something that will happen that will make it impossible for the tribunals to and which means automatically the rule continues. So we have to say no to evil, no to tyranny from the very, very onset. Because those who, like Abolishenka in his book said, those who keep silent in the face of tyranny are dead. Those who keep silent in the face of tyranny are as good as dead. And Nigerians are not dead human beings. We are over 200 million living souls, and we have to prove it to this government that yes, we are alive, yes, we know the Constitution, yes, we know our rights.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Eze Eluche. I'll take that as your final thoughts on the matter.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on the program. All right, well, I do know that these views are views of the guest and does not state the position of the station. Well, up next on VOP this morning, JAMB releases cutoff mark for tertiary education enrollment, but are the criticisms justified? Well, stay with us.